So here we are already on step 6 of our virtual coaching roadmap. And step 6 is all about jumping into more intense collaboration with teachers in coaching cycles. And so to get prepared for these coaching cycles, the very first step I'd like you to take is to create coaching cycle documents, ideally in Google Docs, and I'll show you why, and to get started creating your teacher folders to further your organizational skills and set you up for coaching success. Now, there are two kinds of coaching cycles I like to work with. Now, probably no matter how you define it, I think we could all agree that a coaching cycle is an intense collaboration between a teacher and a coach around a common goal. Maybe it's a professional goal or it's a classroom instructional goal. Now, typically, we have coaching cycles where that intense collaboration is focused on classroom instruction. It could be a classroom cycle that's a mini cycle that only lasts a week or two, or it could be a more sustained student-centered coaching cycle that might last 5 or 6 weeks or more. But there's also another kind of content. Oh, I just gave it away. Another kind of coaching cycle that I like that works particularly well when we're working virtually, and that's a content cycle. It's still an intense collaboration between a teacher and a coach, but rather than focusing all of our energy in the classroom around instruction, we're focusing all of our energy around a shared topic. That might involve the classroom, but it might involve book studies and watching webinars together or exploring blog hops and watching videos and listening to podcasts. So it broadens the idea of a coaching cycle. And if we're coaching virtually, our lines are being blurred anyway. And so why not do it in a positive way? Now, regardless of the kind of cycle, coaching cycle or a content coaching cycle, there's a couple of options for virtual cycles. Now, you could be in person doing coaching cycles in the classroom, but you're bringing in digital documents and video to support your work. So this is a way to keep virtual coaching cycles either pre-pandemic or post-pandemic. But if we really think about virtual coaching cycles, there's usually two options. The first is an asynchronous virtual coaching cycle. That's where you are not actually watching instruction live. You are not in the Zoom room. You are not in the Google Hangout. Instead, the teacher is recording herself teaching. And then he will share those videos with you, only the videos that he wants to share. He'll share them with you in a private way, whether it's a special software like SibMe, or it's just sending it in a private Google link. You as the coach watch the video and send feedback to move them forward. So this kind of coaching cycle is almost like an on-demand cycle where you're teaching and recording and then sending the lesson when you want, and then the coach is watching it on his or her own time and sending feedback. We go back and forth that way. But then there's the synchronous coaching cycle where you simply take your classroom coaching cycle in person and you lift it into a Zoom room or a Google Hangout. And together you observe or you co-teach or you model virtual instruction online. So I'm not sure which option works best for you right now, but all of these tips that I'm going to share work both for asynchronous and synchronous coaching cycles. Now, the steps of a coaching cycle. Now, there are your typical classroom coaching cycle steps on the left. You might have slightly different words or a slightly different pacing, but I think we can all agree there really are 4 steps, or maybe 3 if you combine them together. First, you need to invite teachers to collaborate with you and get them to say yes. Then you need to have pre-coaching conversations and create a shared vision together. Then you actually do the coaching, whether that's classroom coaching or content coaching with video, through video, and then follow up with a post-coaching conversation. Now, in a content coaching cycle, it's very similar. You still invite teachers to collaborate. You have an initial conversation and create a shared vision, But instead of classroom coaching, you're engaging in a professional learning collaboration, and that can look so many different ways depending on your content and what your teachers are up for. And then it ends with a reflective conversation that can continue in an additional cycle. So we need to prepare for these cycles. More about the cycles and what they might look like will come in a later video. But for now, your first step is to get yourself organized. You want to start by pulling together common coaching cycle documents that you will use. It's even more important to do this if you're coaching virtually because you want to make the process as easy, as streamlined, and as consistent as possible. So I want you to think about the documents you use for creating a shared vision with teachers, for offering demonstration lesson plans, for creating co-teaching lesson plans, for how you will observe and share notes with the teacher, and if you have any templates for those pre and post coaching conversations. Now, you don't have to have a template. You don't have to have a protocol. But what I have found is that templates and protocols are my friends. And if you have very loosely defined templates and protocols that you can certainly veer from, but are there as a support, it makes the coaching cycle go more smoothly, and it also sets teachers up to expect things from you. And they start to know the process, know how it works, and get more and more comfortable with it over time if it's consistent. Now, I have coaching cycle documents that you might want to take a look at. I have a couple of them that were originally published in my book, Literacy Coaching, but I've linked to them in our course page so that you can get what I use for visioning, demonstration plans, co-teaching, observational notes, and even the coaching conversations template. So if you like them, you're welcome to swipe them. Maybe you use them as a model to create your own, or maybe you have ones that you already love. But I want you to get these 5 documents together, or at least a page of your notebook where you jot down an agenda that you can consistently follow with your teachers. That is a huge step. So I wanted to just highlight some of them. This is what my vision lesson plan looks like. And all of these documents are still completely appropriate for virtual coaching cycles. What I like to do is use them in Google. And I use them in Google because I have a certain philosophy about coaching, right? And those are my 5 kind of top things right there. I'm a good listener. I want to follow the teacher's lead. I'm always trustworthy, transparent, and collegial, and never evaluative. I'm always seeking out strengths and celebrating growth. So I like to create these documents in Google and share them with the teacher so that every single step of the way, it is collaborative. It is transparent. They know what I'm writing down. They have access to my notes that I'm taking, to the plans, to our conversations, to all of it. There's nothing secret. There's nothing written down about them in their classroom that they don't see. And so that clearly shows that I'm here as a colleague. It's completely transparent and certainly non-evaluative. So that's why I want you to get those documents in some sort of collaborative form, whether you create them in Microsoft Word and share them back and forth through email, or what I recommend is doing it through Google so that the changes pop up automatically. There's no emailing back and forth or figuring out which saved version you were working in. Now here's an example of the demonstration mini lesson plan. And so I will actually create the plans and I'll use Google Docs to send them directly to the teachers, and I'll ask them for feedback using the comment tool, which should be next. There we go. So you can see, will this work? Do you prefer another book that may have a clear lesson that we could use? My plan was to have them write their lesson on sticky notes to share. What do you think? Is that something they'd be up for? So this way, you can easily have a pre-coaching conversation through Google Docs. It's always hard to find time to meet for those pre and post conversations, and virtual coaching cycles make that even more challenging, I think. And so to be able to start the conversations through Google Docs is one way to get them started and to keep them going if meeting live isn't an option. And again, it keeps it collegial, transparent, and non-evaluative. So I like to use these documents and then come back to them. So I'll put questions in the document for our pre-conversation, asking them for feedback and what they think. Then I'll use it to take notes as we're actually doing the coaching. And then I'll use it to add follow-up comments. And you can see one comment there. I think this was the perfect choice now. They all knew the story well, and they were able to focus on deeper thinking with us. So you can add your notes, you can add comments, you can even add screenshots of the virtual lesson or pictures of the in-classroom lesson as well. And you can also include evidence of student learning. So this way, your collaborative documents aren't just lesson plans. They're artifacts of a coaching cycle, all in one place to celebrate. So it's time to get organized. So your job right now is to figure out which documents you want to use from those 5 different aspects that I recommended on an earlier slide. I want you to decide if you're going to have them in Google form, where they can be collaborative, I hope, or if you have to do another option. And then I want you to get organized. I want you to create a new folder in your drive, or I want you to organize the folder that you already have for virtual coaching. In that folder, you're going to put all of your virtual coaching templates so that you can easily make copies of them and share them with the teachers you work with. Then I want you to make it even easier, and I want you to create a collaborative folder where both you and the teacher have editing access. I want you to create a folder for each of the teachers you'll work with. And you can see a very simplistic example there of teacher 1, 2, and 3. This way, whenever you engage in a coaching cycle together, you can go back to your shared folder and just keep adding the documents there. There's no reason to track each other down in email or send them back and forth. Whenever you're working together, both of you know to just go to your shared folder, and that's where all our documents will be. That way, you make everything streamlined, everything organized, and everything a little bit easier. Sorry, I gave you a quick sneak peek into the next slide there. I thought I had one more. All right, so that wraps up this video. Your job is to find your coaching templates that you'd like to use. Ideally, make them collaborative, and then get started creating your shared folders where you can give access to teachers just at the beginning of the coaching cycle, and then to continue all the way through to make your virtual coaching even easier.